everyone, welcome to week 3. In this week we shift gears. Our last 2 weeks we've been talking about how the traditional publishing and distribution industries work, and this week we're going to be talking about how self-publishing works. In fact, for weeks 3 and 4 we'll be talking all about self-publishing. So let's take a look at this. Self-publishing is a recent phenomenon. When I say that, I mean it's a recent phenomenon that people have been successful doing it. Before that, self-publishing was really about making a very expensive investment, a speculation, as it were, in your own anticipated success. How it would work on the book side, for example, people would try to get a traditional publishing deal, they weren't able to get it, and so they would wind up going to basically a printing company and paying in advance $2, $5, $10,000 up front to have hundreds or thousands of copies of their book made for them. Bands sometimes would do the same thing. They'd go into a studio and they'd have a deal where a company would manufacture, 1,000 or 2,000 or 10,000 record albums for them, and then, good luck selling those. It usually turned out very, very badly for a lot of people. In the industry, the notion of a thing called the vanity press came into play. In other words, it wasn't literally called that. It was really a printing company. But the idea was, as a self-publishing author, I was so vain. I was so in love with myself that even though I couldn't, my work probably wasn't good enough to get a traditional publishing deal, I still, though, loved myself and my stuff so much that I was willing to risk thousands of dollars to have, hundreds or thousands of copies of this book made. And like any good printing company, they'd take my money, they'd fill the order, and then a truck would come and deliver dozens and dozens of boxes to me of, all these books that I probably couldn't sell. They would wind up stacked up in, garages, basements, bedrooms. Many times these would not come with retail sales codes that were needed, so retailers, wholesalers would not be able to sell them. There were no barcodes, no ISBN codes, nothing needed to be able to sell them in ordinary retail channels. So it really was kind of a depressing and horrible experience for a lot of people. Today, self-publishing is, thank goodness, a whole lot better. For about 10 years now, we've had a new breed of vendors out there that are called print-on-demand or aggregators. They're really the same thing. They're companies that will provide manufacturing and distribution for you, for your self-published book, music, film, television show, video game. Why they're not a vanity press is because number one, they will actually get you the distribution. They will put you in real live wholesale and retail channels. They will list you in Baker and Taylor and Ingram wholesaler catalogs. They will get you on iTunes or get you on Amazon or get you at IMDb or get you, in Barnes and Noble or Books A Million. They really will do that. They'll also help not only with digital, but also hard copies of your content with the manufacturing. Many of them can provide marketing, press releases, editing services, artwork, templates, you name it. They can do it for you. So that's really what makes them different than a vanity press. It really was just a printing company that would just print out hundreds or thousands of copies and, good luck, you're on your own. As a result, because of aggregators, and that's what we call these companies if you're talking about music, games, film, or television, and we call them print on demand, specifically if you're working with books or printed material like magazines, for example. Okay, so they really have allowed the artist to evolve as a true entrepreneur and really have an ability to get their work out in a very realistic way. And as David Carnoy says, the premise, anybody now can be a small publisher. You call the shots. This is what's nice too. You get to keep your copyright. You keep your copyright, and aggregators and print on demand, they're not free, but you get to keep a very, very much bigger percent of your sales than you would with a traditional publishing deal. With a traditional publishing deal, as you know, you might get royalties of maybe 10, 15, possibly 20% of sales based on what the publisher is able to accomplish. With print on demand, if you're talking about music, some companies, for example, you pay an initial fee of $5, $10, $50 maybe, for a single or an album, and then you can keep 100% of your sales revenues. For books, print on demand for books, you will typically be able to keep anywhere between 35 and 70% of retail sales. And you set the retail price as well. And again, as I say, you also get to keep the copyright. So it's very interesting. The one problem with self-publishing is you have to do your own marketing. Now, for people like you folks, this is really wonderful. You've got everything you need. You're technically savvy. You have business experience. You know how to do marketing, and you're creative, and you can get a hold of creative content. Those are really the three things you need. The aggregator or the print on demand will take care of distribution for you. If you can handle your own marketing, and if you've got good creative content, you're perfectly able to do this. So basically, you provide the created content. You certainly want to put your best work forward. Quality is absolutely key. You don't want this thing to scream homemade. It needs to, look real, not self-published. And of course, there's those retail sales codes I was mentioning that are absolutely critical to be able to sell your work in ordinary retail and wholesale channels. And we'll take a look at them. You're going to need a barcode for books or DVDs, an international standard book number, the ISBN, and also an updated version of that, a European article number, or EAN 13. So let's take a look at those. The Universal Product Code, the barcode. Everybody knows what a barcode is. Barcode. We all know them. We love them. Whatever. You're going to have one of those. If you're doing hard copy distribution, a good print-on-demand or aggregator will provide that for you if you don't have your own. You'll also need, for books, magazines, and also DVDs, an international standard book number. You'll see it'll say ISBN 10 or ISBN 13. And the 10 has either 10 digits, it's an identifying code. The ISBN 13 has 13 digits in it. You would either need to get your own if you're publishing yourself as a publishing company. You would get that through a company called R.R. Bowker, or if you go through a decent print-on-demand, such as CreateSpace, for example, they'll provide one for you. There's also a thing called the EAN 13, European article number with 13 digits. In the United States, we call it the ISBN 13. Basically, the 13-digit code, it's the same as the 10 digits, only it has 3 extra numbers added on. This is required if you wish to sell the product outside of the United States. So many times if you get an ISBN, they'll give you both the 10 and the 13. The 10 for sales in this country and the 13 for sales outside of this country. Okay. As I mentioned, you'll be responsible for all your own marketing and promotion. You always want to register your work. You do want to be careful. There's a few companies out there that maybe are kind of vanity press-like in disguise, where they want to charge people extreme amounts of money to self-publish. You really don't need to do that. You folks would probably be capable of putting together your own editing and artwork and your own marketing. Self-publishing music comes next. Everything I've talked about can be used for all forms of content, books in particular. Next, we'll be talking about how to self-publish music with aggregators, becoming, getting your stuff on iTunes, for example. And we'll put once again, the one sheet will be on our spotlight. Also some tips on owning your own publishing company. So I will pause now. We'll have another second video where we'll pick up talking about self-publishing music next. Okay, and the aggregator. So we'll see you in a little bit. Bye-bye.